Welcome to the Emily Rassam Show, the podcast that proves parenting, business, and home life can all be juggled, just not always gracefully. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share because laughter and maybe chaos is better when it's spread around. Hello and welcome to the Emily Rassam Show. Today I am joined by Master Doug Moore. He is a 4th degree black belt master and he is the owner of Dragon Defense Taekwondo. Hello, Master Doug. Thank you
Hey,
for joining us.
yep, that's good to be here. Good to be here.
We're going to start off by talking today a little bit about the history of Taekwondo. And I know Master Doug is going to explain to us what those words mean and where did Taekwondo start and those kind of details.
Sure. Taekwondo, the word ta means kicking with the feet, Kwon, striking with the hand, and do is wear method. And Taekwondo is a Korean martial art. And like karate and kung fu, it's hundreds and hundreds of years old. It's actually hand-to-hand combat with philosophy put to it. Again, this is a Korean martial art. It was made popular in the United States when the Korean War vets came back from the Korean War. The fighting style that they had seen over there, they were impressed. So a fellow by the name of Jun Rhee came to America and started teaching it. And slowly but surely it gained popularity. Oddly enough, besides karate, taekwondo, and judo are the only 3 Olympic martial arts out there that they do in the Olympics. I learned taekwondo. I've been a long time, like most people, I was interested in it, have a background in self-defense, and I've worked with kids, teens, law enforcement, military, and so I try to hone my skills. So I enjoy teaching it still. I still have a passion for it, and as long as I'm physically able, I'll probably always do it.
I love that. I love to hear that. And can you tell us how you were first introduced to Taekwondo?
Actually, I was first introduced to Taekwondo when I was a kid. I saw a movie called Billy Jack, believe it or not. Now, some people that's dating myself a little bit, but I was elementary school age and I went and saw the actor was Tom Laughlin. And in that movie, he was doing Taekwondo and Hapkido, which I thought I'd never seen anything like that before. And then slowly, like everybody else, I picked up on Bruce Lee movies and so forth. And from there, I decided, okay, I'm going to start learning this stuff and get real good at it. And I trained under an 8th degree grandmaster, and he produced me as a 4th degree black belt master, and we went from there. When my school, I try to bring forth the things that are important are confidence, discipline, focus slash concentration. That sort of thing is taught, but it's also begins at home as well. So, but anybody can learn to fight, but it's knowing when to fight. Walk away, talk away if you can. But I also believe that no one has a right to put their hands on you unless invited. And so that's probably what I do in my school. I make sure everybody has that confidence. But you have to practice. I make no guarantees. I tell parents that, as you know, if you don't practice, I make no guarantees, meaning if you're not going to put the work in. And that's a philosophy that carries over into anything you do. One of the things about martial arts is discipline, competence, focus, concentration, respect. Those are characteristics of everyday life.
They are. And so, can you tell us a little bit about the type of Taekwondo you teach? Because I know there are a bunch of different methods. Can you give us a brief highlight of that?
Yeah,
Because there's not just one type.
right. This is Kwon Taekwondo from the Kukiwon out of Seoul. And I also incorporate a little bit of Hapkido self-defense in there. Most of Taekwondo is about 80% kicks and 20%, hands. But because I try to incorporate the Hapkido, which is the self-defense aspect, I want them to be able to use their hands almost as much as they can their feet to make them a complete martial artist.
That makes more sense because it would be hard to go around kicking someone and then run away.
Yeah, if they're trying to, and if it's not where they're coming back or trying to hurt anybody or hurt you, then let them run.
Right. Right. And can you tell us about the different lineages for martial arts and yours specifically? I know I saw a bunch of mentions about that and how it's very important, and I know nothing. So please enlighten.
Are you looking like different styles? Like karate comes from Japan, and the word karate means open hand. Taekwondo is Korean, Kung Fu is Chinese, Jiu-Jitsu most of the time is South America. There's martial arts out there everywhere. And I've never said, and I thoroughly believe this, that not one martial art is better than another. They all have strengths, they all have weaknesses. Boxing has a strength, it has a weakness. It's just what you take to and how you take to it. It's kind of like playing an instrument. Some people like the piano, some people like the guitar, but they're all instruments. You see,
Right. That's a good analogy there. And then one thing I wanted to ask you about, since you are a master and have a black belt, what does having a black belt represent to you? And specifically, what does it take to obtain a black belt? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
with me, you have to know it's mostly attitude. It's understanding. The bottom line to me is a black belt is a white belt that never quit. Does that make sense?
That does?
Quitting is a bad habit. And sometimes we quit things that are hard, or I don't want to do it, or you know what I mean? And quitting is a habit that once you start, you'll do all your life, most of the time, whenever you have to put the work in or it gets a little tough on you. So a black belt to me is somebody who doesn't give up, that doesn't quit. They can use their hands and feet in the right situation to protect themselves, never to initiate, but always to defend. And that is up to you what you have to defend. You stand for something or you fall for everything. So it's just that's an individual situation. But having a black belt is a big responsibility. And it's also a respect. I mean, it's you work hard for that. And when I went to first degree, second degree, third degree, when I was testing for my master, that was a huge step for me. I thought, wow. And honestly, the word is a little bit misleading because you never really master anything. If you think that you've learned everything there is to learn, you might as well die because you're done. I'm finished. I mastered it. Okay, on to something else. It's a title, but I'm still learning. I learn from my students now, no matter what age, from 5 years old to 75. There's a saying that I grew up with that every person is my teacher, of that I may learn from them. And so, in everybody's certain arena that they're good at, they're the master, they're the teacher. That's really what master is a teacher.
That was my next question. I was going to ask you about, okay, once you become a master and then you start teaching, you learn. You learn a lot when you do teach in every topic and subject.
Absolutely. And you also have a responsibility because, again, kicking and punching is easy to learn. It's what goes with it: confidence, respect, honor, focus, concentration. You know, there's a lot that go into these things that you want to get across to your students. And I personally believe we have a responsibility that we have to teach the younger people, kids, teens, adults, or teach those around us if we want to, you got to be the change. Don't complain about it. Find a way to make it, do it correctly. Teach it. You know what I mean? Not everybody's going to agree. That's fine. But as you know, like in my class, I have different personalities. Everybody's different. So my teaching style is I say you do, but we are a Taekwondo family. Nobody pays attention to the new person. You follow me? They're too busy worrying about what they have to do, but you're welcome because we'll treat you like you've been there from the very first day.
That's a lot like at my house, because I have 4 tiny people with lots of personality at my
Right.
house.
It,
Um,
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
and I even warned you, I will sign in right before we're starting, and I beat you. I was surprised for our talk. And so this makes me think, do you have any tips on teaching or learning discipline that you have picked up over the years?
Well, let me preface that by saying that everything starts at home. Everything. From my research, I have found that basically we're only born in this world with two functions. One, the ability to smile, because a little baby can smile. And two, fear of falling. If you have a baby and you move suddenly, every other behavior is taught and it's learned from somewhere, whether it's mom, dad, crazy Uncle Bill in the basement, neighbors, grandma, grandpa, people you work with. So behaviors are taught, but discipline is nothing more than consequences and being held accountable. If you make the right decision, there's good consequences. You make the wrong decision, there's consequences for your actions. Own them, fix it, and be done with it. I think we get away from that sometimes. I think, in my opinion, that kids and teens crave discipline. I'm not saying, and the word, most people, when they hear discipline, they think, going back to it's a spanking, it's this. No, discipline is something you do every day. You get up, you go in the kitchen, you make breakfast for your children. They get up, you get them dressed. That's a discipline. You have to do that every day. So it's
Yes,
really not that hard. We all have it. It's basically, if it's important to you, you will make time for it. And if it's not important to you, you're not going to, no matter what anybody says or does. And you have to make that decision too. Do you try to raise children, especially, to be the best version and add to society. I subscribe to the fact that 10% of everything is crap. Now, that may sound harsh, but 10% of everything you buy, or every profession, or everybody you meet, 10%, just not good, but 90% is. And I think that we all have something. If you want, for instance, let's say if you want Henry to set the table every night, then that's his job. And if he doesn't set the table, there's a consequence for that, whether it be take away his favorite toy or stand in timeout for 5 minutes or, whatever you deem as the consequence. And that's how you learn discipline. And it's also respect, because if somebody doesn't respect you, they're not going to listen to you.
that's true. And respect is something that you really have to earn.
Exactly.
And
I
it
mean, you you start out with a certain level that you give, like, when you and I meet, here's a certain level of respect and so on. And then over time, you earn it or you don't. So
yes, I
it's
do.
it's yeah. So it's and some people respect what you do, some don't. That's okay. That's why there's chocolate and vanilla. You don't have to like what I do. You don't have to like the way I do it, because you have a choice. And I think a lot of people get hung up on, well, if they don't agree with me, they're bad or this. And no, you have a choice. You don't like a TV show, turn it off. You don't have to sit there and watch it and complain about it. Same thing
Yes.
when you're trying to teach discipline. If you don't like something, especially with a child or whatever that they're doing, and you want that behavior to change, you got to change it. You're not their friend, you're their parent. There is going to come a day where you can be their friend and you can talk and you can reason and you can discuss. But as a parent, you have a big job. You are a role model. Kids are a role model. I tell the kids in my class all the time, the teens, everybody, the adults, you're all role models to somebody. In your house, you have 4 children. Henry's the oldest, correct?
He is.
Okay. The other 3 watch everything he does and follow his lead.
Yes, they do.
If he so technically, even at 5, he is a role model. Whether he wants that or not, it's just a fact. People are always watching. Character shows when no one's looking, and that is what we want. We want people of good character.
Yes. And like at our house, we have a sign and it says, greatness takes discipline. Discipline equals freedom. And I try to remind my kids that all the time why we practice and do things that we don't like to do. Because the more you do it, the faster it gets.
Exactly.
So now we're going to talk a little bit about self-defense training. How is Taekwondo, the sport, different from real world self-defense?
Well, a sport taekwondo tournament style, you're not really trying to like injure. You're not trying to subdue. You're not trying to make sure they don't get up again so that you have to keep going. Sport taekwondo is, if you're at a tournament, you're trying to win the trophy, the prize. You know what I mean? In true self defense, if the bad guy jumps out at you at the ATM and he grabs a hold of you, you have to incapacitate your attacker somehow, or you're going to be in a world of hurt. Bad guys jump out for 3 things only: your valuables, your body, or your life. and they don't have a right to take any of them. So you just have to decide, how far am I going to defend myself? Now, if it's a tournament, no, there's rules, there's referees, there's plenty of situations put in place so that it is safety trained versus maybe what I guess real world might be the right world application.
What are the 3 most important self-defense skills you think everyone should know? And I want to add a caveat to this. And the first one is don't be on your cell phone all the time.
Yeah. That Yes, I mean, being on the cell phone does take away your attention. First of all and foremost, be aware of your surroundings always. That's number one. Whether anybody in law enforcement, military, anywhere will tell you, be aware of your surroundings. Pay attention. That's real simple. You know, if something doesn't look right or something doesn't feel right, chances are it's not. So that's first and foremost. Be aware of your surroundings. Next, don't put yourself in a situation, it's nighttime and you're having the girls' night out. Okay. Walk each other to the car, stay close by, make sure everybody gets in, make sure the doors are locked, that sort of thing. There's safety in numbers. Um, don't put yourself in those situations. And third, I would probably say train. Be prepared to fight back. If someone attacks you, they're going to take all you have and all you'll ever have unless you fight back.
That's a good answer. And I know you've mentioned that before, the cell phone thing, and I'm a big stickler for that. So that's something I think about as a parent of 4 kids. I take them out to the store and etc. And I have to carry most of them still.
Well,
So
there's a difference between hanging on to your child and then sticking your face in to see, what's the latest thing on Facebook, or, Susan is texting me and I'm going to have a conversation with her while I walk here or there or do what. It's part of society. I get it. But if your attention is right there, you are not aware. You are not seeing everywhere. You're just right there. And I see people driving down the highway with their face in their phone, but they're not aware. So I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It is if they're driving down the highway. But I think that we have become just immediately our attention goes right there. Like that's our whole world. I tease the kids, they want to play Ninja Zombie 4 on the latest video game instead of going outside and practice your Taekwondo and be able to do it when the real zombies come. I think if you want to learn about the world, go outside, go learn about the world, educate yourself. Education is power.
and talk to people. That's what I
Yes.
like to do.
Yes, and that's the thing. Experience, talk with people. Don't, get a different point of view. Get a different there's nobody out there. We all are trying to figure this out. Nobody's 100% right, but there are things that matter, that decency and respect and discipline and all those things, honor, all those things are passed down generation after generation, because the biggest thing that you want is hope, for our kids, for our grandkids, etc.
A better tomorrow than there is today.
Yes, yes, a better tomorrow for instance. And that
Yes.
what sometimes sounds like a cliche, but it's very true. Everything is passed on. Everything's a learned behavior, as I said earlier. You learn what you hear and see all the time, and that becomes your core. And the one thing that is true is you can't change the core of a human being. You can change a habit. You can quit smoking or quit eating pizza every day, but you can't change the core of what they believe once they have a belief system. It's tough to do because they think they're right, or you're right, or I'm right, but listen, that's the big thing. But yes, going back to self-defense, just be aware and know what you're capable of doing. And that's confidence too. Your greatest weapon is your brain. And if you're smart, you can pretty much figure your way out of a situation and try not to panic. I know that a lot of times people go, well, sometimes you can't. I tell my students, fear's not real. Danger is real.
I like that. I'm gonna steal that one.
Yes,
Very
you may.
good.
Yes, I don't, so you may have it.
Okay, I will. So then what was the toughest moment you have had in your martial arts career?
Well, there's three types of force. There's reasonable, excessive, and deadly force. We all know what deadly force is. there's a line in your head between excessive and reasonable. So sometimes it's what may be reasonable force to me is excessive to you. So it's always knowing if I have to use where is that going to be deemed excessive versus reasonable. So it that pretty much is that's always in the back of your head. That's whether you're a pro boxer, whether you're a martial artist, whether you're a wrestler, knowing how far to take it if you're capable, you've got to have that switch in your head, knowing, hey, did I take it too far?
That's a good one. Um, and let's see, how have has martial arts shaped your life outside of the dojo or training? Like your
Well,
personal life, your career,
oh, yeah.
etc.
Yeah. Well, again, discipline because I'm very focused and disciplined, at my job. I'm very focused and disciplined. My girlfriend says I plan everything, but it's just I set things in motion. I know there's things that have to be done. And so I'm very much a lead follower, get out of the way. I'll do it, but this is the plan and I'm going to get it done. When my children were small, I used to tell them everybody's got a chore and everybody's going to do it. That way, when we're all done, we can all play and have a good time, as opposed to just one or two of us doing the chores. And then that way, it's kind of carried over into my life that way as well.
I like that. I put on the Mission Impossible theme song and made my kids clean up all together with myself because I feel strongly about leading by example.
Well,
I
and
think it's the best.
yes, Miss Emily, that's where I go back to everyone's a role model. They're watching you as much as and I know we at some point become that parent when they say, "Why do I have to do that? You don't do it." Well, because I said so. But the truth is they're watching that. Now, in some cases they don't need to question, okay? I used to tell my children part of the discipline martial arts helped me with the kids was, why would I tell you something that's going to make your life worse? I love you. I try to tell you things that make your life better, not hurt you. And I recall one time my daughter said, well, Dad, sometimes we have to make our own mistakes. But I told her, you don't have to make all of them. Listen, you know what I mean? And then
Mhm.
at that point, that's where the respect comes in. It's pay attention to the experience. But again, if you're sitting on the couch eating a big bag of Cheetos and you're saying, pick that up, pick this up, pick that up, as opposed to they're going to go from you're teaching them to resenting. And that's what you don't want.
Yes, I agree. Let's see. And then we're going to talk a little bit about community impact. First, I would like to start with this question. Are there any transformations you have seen in kids who have done Taekwondo long term?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Most of my parents, I'll ask how are things at home and they'll say, yes, he's listening more, she's listening more. They're getting better in school. They're sitting down sooner because again, the teacher, me, police officer, mom, dad, those authority figures, they're coming to understand, hey, they're in charge, not me. I'm not in charge. You were in charge and you have my best interest at heart. I've seen kids, I had a student, and I won't say his name, but he was a good kid. He stayed with me all the way till he got his black belt in high school, graduated. Just he needed the discipline. Like I said, he craved it. And he graduated, went on to college, and I ran into him and he had a son. And he said, boy, I wish I lived here. This is exactly what I would love for him to do too. It helped me so much. That comes back. That's a full circle moment for a student. I never close the door on a student ever. If Henry walked out of the school tomorrow at 5 and came back at age 8 and said, "Can I still be here?" Yes, you can. Because to me, the opportunity for good things in life that will benefit them could never be shut down on them. And so I've had many students return, come back. I have a lady now that she has some medical issues and she wanted to come back because she said this is the only place I feel normal. And that made me feel good. Meaning because I didn't push her, I knew what she was capable of. I push everybody hard, as you know, but I told her, do what you can do, but give me 100% of what your 100%. mine. And that's the big thing about Dragon Defense. Whatever your expectations are, get them up. Mine are going to be higher because I think if you expect nothing from anyone, kid, teen, adult, you get nothing. So I think expectations is good for people.
I like that. I'm a big history buff, so I know that not too many generations ago, kids did a lot more than we let them today. So I let my kids help do almost everything. Maybe not the 2-year-old chopping wood yet.
So don't put an axe in a 2-year-old's hand. I'm just saying.
No, no, I don't. Definitely not when siblings are around.
Absolutely.
Things could happen. So, what made you start Dragon Defense? And that was one of my questions.
Because I loved it and wanted to continue on, pass on a part of me. Not so much not ego driven, but our children are little pieces of us that we leave behind. Martial arts is a piece of me that I want to leave behind. And even though they're not my biological children, everybody, including the adults, I want to leave something behind for, for those children that maybe some way I made a difference to at least one of them somewhere along the way. And it helped when it was needed, that they remembered something I had shown them, protected them, or needed to hear something that was motivational and they gained the confidence. So it's just leaving a little piece of you behind.
That's kind of why I started my podcast. Same kind of reason. One other question is if someone's looking for somewhere to train or for their kid, how do you know that you've found a good instructor? And what types of questions should someone ask?
Well, first of all, go watch. Go watch. I'm not the end all be all of instructors. There's better, there's worse. I tell people go watch a class. If they don't let you watch a class, then okay, that's kind of a red flag. Go ask questions. What do you do here? I tell people if you don't practice, I make no guarantees. I'm very upfront about that. Like if they come in here and I'm take your money and they can kick in the air for a minute, okay, great, great, see you next month. Ask questions, get an idea of, do they preach walk away, talk away? Most martial arts schools, we do walk away, talk away means if you can walk away from the situation without any kind of physical altercation, do it. Takes two people to fight. If you can talk your way out of it, if you say, hey, why is this? Why is that? Reason. Learn to be, again, your greatest weapon's your brain, and then look and see what you want from it. I mean, I have a friend that owns a kung fu school here. In fact, he's fixing to retire. That he and I had such a mutual respect for each other that I used to tell people, if Taekwondo isn't for you, don't hate martial arts yet. Go over to Kung Fu. See what if that it's different, but it's the same. Understand? You may like something about jujitsu that you don't like about karate, or MMA is big. And you might like something there that you don't like about boxing. So you have to have an idea what you want. Little tiny children see Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers and things like that on TV, and they just want to jump around and yell "Hiya" and stuff. They come into class, they realize, "Oops, this is work." But it's depends on what you're looking for. Teens, when they come in, I really focus on confidence for everybody, but a lot of teens, because they're going through that period of time where they're trying to find who they are. We're not quite little and we're not quite grown. Adults, most adults that come in and join class, it's just because they always wanted to do it, or the world has changed and they're a little fearful. So now they want to learn something to protect themselves.
That makes a lot of sense. And it looks a lot of fun. I always want to jump in,
Anytime
especially when you're doing the bunny hops.
there you go. Bunny hops are good for your legs.
Yes, I do them with the kids now at home, especially since Easter is coming. A huge thank you to Master Doug of Dragon Defense Taekwondo for joining me today. Your knowledge, passion, and gift of teaching are evident in every class. Thanks for joining me today on the Emily Rassam Show. If you laughed, learned something, or at least didn't roll your eyes too hard, Go ahead and like, subscribe, and share. Until next time, keep the coffee strong, your kids alive, and the dreams big.